Hey guys, Tim here from the Single Malt Review with something way out of the ordinary today. This is one of the weirdest bottles of champagne I have ever seen. It may be the weirdest one I ever see. It is that strange. We'll get a closer look at this one before I open it because we have got to check out some of the, well, we'll call them idiosyncrasies we've got going on in this bottle. It's truly strange. Let's have a closer look. So here's the label a bit closer. And there's not a lot here, but what is here is deeply strange. We've got champagne, fine. We've got a date, which doesn't tell us much on the face of it. We've got 1990 vintage, so at least we know when it's from. Brut, the style. And then we've got some real weirdness going on down here. Alcohol percent, who cares? Well, the police, typically. But I don't think this was ever meant to be sold, so maybe they didn't have to put it on there. And then we have a bit of weirdly broken Spanish, which translates into, thanks for coming, from shit in French, which doesn't make any sense to me. It might be idiomatic if you are a Spanish speaker, that might make a bit more sense. If you are, please let me know if it means anything to you, because it means precious little to me. So that's what's going on the bottle. I'll discuss my theory about this one and open it for you in just a minute. Now, my working theory for how this extremely strange bottle came to be is that something took place on the 3rd of the 9th 11, or indeed the 9th of the 3rd 11, depending on which way around your dates go, it can vary. And people walked away with this as some sort of swag for the event. And goodness, it must have been a pretty good one for that to, you'd be walking out of there with a bottle of custom vintage champagne. That must have been some posh stuff, but for the life of me, I cannot find what happened on that date. Well, that's the outside of the bottle. Now it's time for the moment of truth, I guess. We'll just have to crack in and see if we've got a winner on our hands. Goodness, fingers crossed. A few questions you might have. Can champagne even last 32 years in the bottle? It's a hell of a long time. Absolutely. Vintage champagne can last all of that and longer. In fact, if you do a search around, you'll find plenty of 1990 bottles of champagne still on the market for sometimes thousands of dollars or more, depending on who made them. But yes, champagne is one of the more acid wines, and acid, along with the alcohol, is a big-time preservative in wines, and so it's set up to age really well. Supporting that, 1990, that was actually possibly the best vintage, depending on who you speak to, of the latter half of the 20th century. So it has that going for it as well. If this is all it maybe can crack up to be, this might be a really tremendous bottle of champagne we've got here. But there is only one way to find out, so bear with me. Cross your fingers, clap your hands, do what you have to. Things that could go wrong, that may have gone wrong many years ago. Of course, there could be cork taint. Every bottle of wine you open with a cork in, you run that risk. No amount of time is going to save it from that. The CO2 might have leaked out. This may be flat as they say. That wouldn't be good either. Conversely, oxygen may have got in, and if it's oxidized, it's not going to be any good either. But, assuming none of those things have occurred, could have something very special here. So, let's see. Gotta listen for the hiss. Oh, way more than a hiss. That's a promising start. Have a look at the cork condition here. Perfect condition. It's looking a wee bit skinny compared to your usual bubbles corks because it's lost a bit of its body over the years, but that smells, we'll call that about an 80%. I don't think we're dealing with any taint. So, I'm going to be looking for lovely, pale, bright wine. If it's oxidized, it will have gone dark, so that'll be a pretty immediate tell. And here we go. That looks just fine to me. Look at that. You wouldn't know it was 32 years old. We've got, I'd call that a fairly medium bead there. I expected something a wee bit finer, but it absolutely hasn't lost any of its effervescence over the years. So on the nose, I'm going to be hoping for lovely, sharp, crisp white fruit, yeast characters, bread characters. I'm not going to be looking for anything sort of sweet, mouldy, overripe, musty. Anything like that is a bad sign, so we'll see what we get. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch, I think we might have a live one. Immediately I am getting fresh baked bread, a little bit of maybe some whole grain toast in there. The yeast characters are really, really in control of this one, and that's a tremendous sign. Underneath that there's a little bit of white peach. There's a surprising amount of citrus in this one, but it was supposed to be 1990. It's supposed to be a very acid year, so maybe unsurprising we're seeing a bit of lemon citrus kind of creep in around the edges. Really, I should give this a bit of time to wake up, realise what millennia it's in, but, you know, I'm going to save some tape. I'm going to go straight in here and taste it. My hopes are very high now. It's alive. God damn. God damn. This is, without a doubt, the cheapest champagne I will ever buy. This was one of 2 bottles in an auction lot, and I got them both for 60 New Zealand dollars. $30 a pop. If I'd hunted something similar on the open market, I would be paying upwards of $1,000 unless I found a really cheap one. This is amazing. That brightness and the acidity is absolutely there. It was 100% alive. I don't think it has lost anything over the decades, and it has gained an abject complexity. I have had old champagne before, but I've never quite had something with the layers that this one does. This is pretty profound stuff. This will continue to develop over the next wee while, and it may yet fall off a cliff once the air gets in, the volatiles get moving. It may have a bit of a decline because it is so old. It could be primed to be a bit reactive, but for the time being, this really is just... This is so special. Good grief. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the suspense on that one. I couldn't be more pleased with this. This is tremendous. I'm almost disappointed that I'm not going to have another opportunity to crack another one of these for maybe some time, but next time I go auction spelunking, I will bring you guys along and we'll see what the take is. I can't think it's going to be more special than this one, but hey, we'll see. So we'll catch you then. This has been the Single Malt Review with another episode, nothing to do with malt, but them's the breaks. Tim here, signing off.